welcome to everyone. So today we're discussing about another important session, which is a LAN session, which we're calling as a local area network values. In the previous sessions, we're discussing about this Ethernet kind of services. So, but what is Ethernet? Based upon the protocol value, based upon the IEEE 802.1 standard value, we are going to using this Ethernet value, which is a LAN connections as well as a MAN connection, which is a local area network and metropolitan area network. So, which is similar to our today's session, which is our local area network, which apparently we're discussing about is Ethernet communication. So, when discussing about this local network, which is comes to the picture of this 802.11 standard. So, what is meant by this 802.11? So, when establishing any kind of Wi-Fi or else any kind of a local area network, so we having as a prescribed frequency bandwidth is there, which the bandwidth is 2.4 GHz to 5 GHz range value. So, between this frequency bandwidth range, we are going to usage of this a Wi-Fi communication as well as the LAN communication. We calling as a local area network communication. So, with help of these two ranges value, we are going to use in the protocols, which we calling as a 802.11 protocols. So, in this protocol also we having as another sub bands are there. We having as A, B, C, D, F and G. We having as a sub protocols are there starting from A, B, C, D and F and G. So, based upon the frequency band we are using that one and respective particular application, we are going to segregate the wireless LANs into the respective format values only, respective frequency structure values only. So, what is 802.11 data frame? So, when discussing about this LAN protocols, the LAN protocols we are going to using the main structure we calling as a 802.11 protocol. In this protocol, we having as a framing structure is there, we calling as a data frame structure. In the data frame structure, we having as a flow control mechanism is there, which means what kind of version we are using that one, what kind of types, what kind of subtypes, and what two data sources, which means address value from address value, and which is mail function value and retrieve value, PWR power values and more values and WO, and which means all this comes to this the frame control mechanism. So, in the frame control mechanism, what kind of Bluetooth version we are using that one, what is a subtype, what is a true address, what is a from address, and what kind of things we are using, what kind of windows is, all these things we initialize in the frame control structure. Apart from this one, so we are going to use this duration and n number of address value, that address should be in sequence manner, and respect to payload data we calling as the range should be 0 to 2312 range, and we having as another thing the checksum range. So, all these things we have in the form of this bytes range. So, every frame could be having as a 2 bytes, and when go for this address and the sequence manner we having as a 6-bit range. In the sequence structure we having as a 2-bit range, 2-byte range, and this we having as a 0 to 2312 bytes range, and checksum we having as a 4 bytes range. So, this is the way we have to establishing the data frames. So, in the data frame, nothing but the signal is transmission from source destination. We have to insert all these things. Then we go for this data transmission from source to destination. And what kind of services we offer? So, in the LAN services, in the 802.11 standard state services, that each wireless LAN must provide 9 services. For example, in the 802.11 protocol, IEEE 802.11 protocol, we are using for this Wi-Fi communication or wireless signal communication or internet communication. So, these services apparently we having as a 9 different services are there. But these services are subcategorized into 5 distribution services and 4 station services, which means we having a source station is there as well as resource station is there. Between this one, information transmission is there, which means the distribution service is there. So, out of 9 services, 5 acting as a distribution and 4 acting as a station services. So, what are the 5 distribution services provided by the base station, and those are deals with the station mobility, and these are enter and leave cells values only, with attaching the and detaching themselves from a base station. So, that is association, deassociation, reassociation, distribution and integration. Association in the sense how we are able to associate with the one station to another station value, and deassociate in the sense how we are able to deassociate the how we are able to deconnect the values, and we go for this reassociation the same network value, and we go for this distribution from one station to another station value, and we are integrate the we have to maintain granularity and integration of this one station to another station services, that we calling as the services structure values only. So, and apart from these services, we having as another 4 services, which is station services, which is authentication, deauthentication, privacy, and data delivery. Authentication and deauthentication, which means who was the proper person who comes into the network architecture domain, which we calling as authentication purpose, authentication people, then only they can able to use the Wi-Fi services based upon the respective user ID and password value. They enter into the login credentials, they go for this authentication perspective, we go for the authorized people. And similarly, deauthentication, those are not a authorized people, so they are go for this guest kind of structure to enter into the architecture of Bluetooth or Ethernet services. And we go for this privacy manner and security manner only. Privacy and security also very important to deliver and to share the information from one end to another end. And after successfully pairing communication who are present in the network, we go for this data delivery from one services to one station to another station. So I conclude this session. In this session, we discussing about the LAN communication, which means what is my local area network. In the local area network, what kind of protocols we are using that one. So in the protocols, most of the cases in the LAN communication, we are going to usage of this IEEE 802.11 protocol. So in this protocol, based upon the segmentation perspective, based upon the bandwidth range and the Wi-Fi communication range value, we again segregate into A, B, C, D, F and G value. So based upon the frequency bandwidth range, we are segregated this frequency band value, and based upon the term we are going to usage of this internet protocols of 802.11 A, B, C, D, F and G values only. So that is the important of this LAN network. And the revision, so in this session, so what the topics we covered. So while discussing about this data link layer, so in the data link layer we discuss about many protocols we discuss about based upon to establish the connection value, right? So again discussing about this MAC layer, medium access sub layer. So in this also discussing about various protocols value, right? So in this data link layer discussing about this noisy channel protocol as well as noiseless channel protocol, and the respective usage of the architecture values we are discussed in this data link layer. And in the MAC layer we are also discussing about various protocols. Along with this one, we are discussing about what is Bluetooth communication or Bluetooth architecture works and what is the LAN architecture works we discussed in the MAC protocol. And apart from this one, the other important things we are discussing about is the various protocols which under the based upon the slotted time value, which we calling as the Aloha protocol. We calling as Aloha protocol, a slotted Aloha protocols, and based upon the protocol architecture, we are multiple protocols we are using this the data link layer services as well as in the MAC layer protocol. So these are the important topics which we covered in the services. Thank you.